Every day, American Catholics are running into the same collision. The Pope says the deportations are wrong, Trump says they are necessary. The Pope says the Iran war is unacceptable, Trump says it is unavoidable. And somewhere in the middle, a person sitting in a pew on Sunday morning has to figure out what to do with both of those voices. The question that gets asked is, whose side are you on, Pope or Trump? Pick one. But that is the wrong question, not because the answer doesn't matter, because it assumes that one of these choices is free, that you can pick a side and walk away clean. A recent NBC poll showed the Pope with a net favorability of positive 34 among American Catholics. Trump sits at negative 12 among the same group, but Hispanic Catholic support for Trump is at 18%. White Catholic support has been shifting in the other direction. Same faith, same church, opposite directions. That is not a theological disagreement. That is a cost calculation happening inside real communities, inside real families. The people making it are not choosing between right and wrong. They are choosing between which cost they can afford and when. Not Pope or Trump. What do you lose when you choose one, and what do you lose when you choose the other? Picture Sunday morning, a parish in a neighborhood where most of the congregation came from somewhere else: Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador. The families know each other. The kids went to school together. The priest knows everyone's name. In that room, following the Pope is not a political statement. It is the most natural thing in the world, the Church has always said. We protect the vulnerable, we stand with the poor, we do not look away from suffering. And the Pope is saying exactly that out loud in the direction of the people in that room. It feels like alignment. It feels like the institution you have given your life to is finally saying what it has always been supposed to say. And there is something practical underneath that feeling. In a Hispanic Catholic community, the parish is not just a place to pray, it is where you find out about a job opening. Where someone knows a lawyer who handles immigration cases, where a family that just arrived gets connected to people who can help. The network is real and it runs through the church. Following the Pope keeps you inside that network. It keeps you in the room. It keeps the relationships intact that have nothing to do with theology and everything to do with surviving in a country that is making survival harder. That is what Door A protects, not an ideology, a room full of people who still show up for each other. Here is what that choice quietly builds up on the other side. The parish in the Hispanic neighborhood is one version of American Catholicism, but there is another version. A parish in a suburb where the congregation is mostly white, mostly homeowners, mostly people whose economic anxiety runs in a different direction. In that room, following the Pope reads differently. It doesn't feel like alignment, it feels like a political position, and political positions have social consequences. The moment you say out loud that you stand with the Pope on immigration or the Iran war, you don't just make a theological statement, you get filed. In the workplace, in the neighborhood, in the extended family Thanksgiving table, you become the person who is on a particular side, not the Catholic side, the Democratic side. The label arrives whether you asked for it or not. And it doesn't stop there. Every time a new issue surfaces, every time the Pope says something, every time Trump responds, the question comes back: where do you stand? The choice you made once becomes a choice you have to keep making. Every news cycle, every family dinner, every conversation with a coworker who wants to know what you think, it is not a one-time cost, it is a subscription. And then there is the part that doesn't get talked about. The money that keeps a parish running does not come equally from all directions. In many American parishes, the majority of the operational budget comes from older, whiter, more conservative donors. When a priest begins to vocally align with the Pope's position on Trump, not in a political sermon, just in the pastoral letters, just in the tone of the homily, those donors notice. The envelopes get lighter, the building fund stalls, the school starts having conversations about tuition increases. The choice to follow the Pope is yours to make. The parish, that choice happens inside, that belongs to everyone, and not everyone is making the same choice. Picture a different room, a parish hall after Sunday Mass in a mid-sized city in Ohio or Pennsylvania. The people in this room own small businesses. They work in manufacturing. They have watched their town change over 20 years, factories that closed, neighborhoods that shifted, a cost of living that kept going up while the wages stayed flat. For these people, Trump is not primarily a cultural signal. He is an economic proposition. Lower taxes on small businesses, tighter immigration enforcement that they believe protects local wages, trade policies designed to bring manufacturing back. These are not abstract positions. They are things that show up in the monthly numbers in the business account, in the paycheck, in the price of the house. Following Trump in that room is not a betrayal of anything. It is a rational response to a specific economic reality that the Pope, speaking from Rome about humanitarian principles, does not have to live inside of. And the social dimension runs deeper than the economics. In that community, Trump's support is not just a political position. It is a membership signal. It tells the people around you which team you are on, and in a community built on local business relationships, on referrals, on who you know and who knows you, being on the right team has tangible value. The contract that comes through. The referral that arrives, the invitation to the table where decisions get made. Following Trump keeps you inside that network. It keeps the relationships intact that translate directly into economic stability. That is what Door B protects, not a political ideology, a set of relationships that pay the bills. Here is what that choice quietly builds up on the other side. The parish hall in Ohio is one room, but it is not the only room in the building. On the other side of the same church, the same Sunday, there is a family that came from Guatemala 3 years ago. Their oldest son was picked up last month. They don't know where he is. They are sitting in the same pews, singing the same hymns, taking the same communion. And the person next to them voted for the policy that took their son. That is not a theological abstraction. That is a Sunday morning. And it happens every week in parishes across the country where Hispanic and white Catholic communities share the same building but are living inside completely different versions of what America is doing to them right now. The moment you visibly align with Trump inside that space, the signal that goes out is not political. It is personal. It says, I chose the policy over you. And relationships that were built over years, the neighbor who helped you move, the family whose kids played with your kids, the person who brought food when someone died, those relationships don't end with an argument. They end with a distance that nobody names but everybody feels. And then there is the part inside the family. In a Hispanic Catholic household where one member supports Trump, the cost is not a dinner table debate. It is something quieter and harder. When immigration enforcement shows up in the neighborhood, that family member goes silent. Not because they changed their mind, because there is no version of that conversation that doesn't cost someone something irreplaceable. The silence is the cost, and it compounds. And then there is the part that doesn't get talked about. The Republican Party needs Catholic voters. It actively courts them on abortion, on religious liberty, on school choice. These are real alignments, but Catholic social teaching on immigration, on war, on care for the poor, that teaching does not get courted. It gets quietly set aside. And the Catholic voter who follows Trump learns over time to set it aside too, not all at once, issue by issue, homily by homily. Until the faith that is left is the faith that was convenient to keep. The rest got traded away so gradually that there was never a moment where it felt like a choice. That is the hidden cost nobody names, not that you chose wrong, that you chose so many small things so quietly for so long that you woke up one day holding a version of your faith that you wouldn't have recognized 10 years ago. So here is what both doors actually look like when you put them next to each other. Following the Pope means staying inside the faith community as it was built to be. The network holds. The relationships in the parish hold, the alignment between what you believe and how you live holds, but the political label arrives and it doesn't leave. The cost at the Thanksgiving table, at the workplace, in the extended family that accumulates, and the parish you are trying to stay faithful inside is financially dependent on people who are making the opposite choice. The faith community is preserved. The political and economic pressure builds slowly on the outside of it. Following Trump means staying inside the economic and political network that pays the bills and opens the doors. The the business relationships hold, the community standing holds. The practical stability that comes from being on the right team in the right town holds, but the room on the other side of the church is still there. The family whose son was picked up is still sitting in the same pew, and the faith that gets carried forward is the faith that survived the editing, the pieces that were compatible with the choice and the pieces that weren't quietly removed. Both doors cost something in the community you leave behind. The only difference is which community you are willing to lose. This is not really a question about the Pope or Trump. They are the occasion, not the subject. The subject is this: American Catholics hold two community memberships that are pulling in opposite directions: faith community and political community. Stay in one and you feel the pressure of the other. Move toward one and you start to lose the other. The choice is not between right and wrong. It is between which belonging you protect first and whether the one you let go of can be recovered. Every American Catholic navigating this is not making a theological decision. They are making a community decision. The Pope and Trump just made it impossible to avoid making it. Two doors, both of them real, both of them costly. Behind the first door you follow the Pope. The faith community holds, the alignment between belief and action holds, the network of people who show up for each other holds, but the political label arrives and stays. The cost accumulates at every table, in every conversation, in every room where the congregation is pulling the other direction. And the parish you are trying to stay faithful inside is held together by money that comes from people who made the opposite choice. Faith community preserved, political and economic pressure building from the outside. Behind the second door you follow Trump. The economic network holds, the business relationships hold, the community standing in the room where the decisions get made holds, but the distance opens inside the parish. The family on the other side of the church feels it. The faith gets carried forward in edited form, the convenient pieces kept, the inconvenient pieces set aside so gradually that there was never a single moment where it felt like a betrayal. Political network preserved, faith community hollowed from the inside. Both doors lead somewhere real, neither door leads somewhere clean. The question is not which door is right, it is which loss you can live with, which community, once you have started to lose it, can you rebuild, which version of yourself, the one who stayed with the faith or the one who stayed with the politics, you can recognize 10 years from now. So here is where it lands. Do you follow the Pope and pay the political price slowly, hoping the faith community outlasts the pressure? Or do you follow Trump and pay the faith price slowly, hoping the relationships you kept are worth the ones you lost? One cost now, one cost later, the door is open, the choice is yours.